Continue. All right, so we check Forex Factory and we are clear of red folders. We have no red folders at all. So in using Daven's 4 rules, the next thing that we want to do, we want to go and we want to make sure that we have our rules in front of us. And the first rule that we are going to go over is your Bollinger Band. All right, so we checked Forex Factory. We're clear of red folders. You want to make sure you have your settings. So here are my settings. I put them inside of the chat. I'll go ahead and drop them in there for you again. So here are the settings. And now we're going to go over rule number 1, which is the Bollinger Band hit. So the web analyzer goes off, cha-ching. You want to make sure, you want to ask yourself, did the Bollinger Band hit on the 5-minute and the 15-minute chart? It must be yes. So let's go look at the web analyzer. And let's check out this particular pair. So we're looking at USD CAD. And at the time, USD CAD was called at 1.33035, which is the blue horizontal line on my computer. Now, you look at the Bollinger Band and they called a buy. So you're looking for the red candle to close outside of the Bollinger Band. And if I make that a little bit bigger, you can see that price did close outside of the band, okay? So what I normally do is I check the 5-minute and I scan it really quickly. Once you start to use the rules, you will go through it so quickly. You'll see that, okay, price closed outside of the Bollinger Band. The next thing you want to look for is your RSI. Did your RSI, is it below 20 and pointing up for a buy? So if it is yes, then you say, great. You move on to the next thing. What about the stochastic? Is your stochastic for a buy, you will want the blue signal line to cross over the red. Let me check the chat. Before the video cut you off, you were saying my stochastic is so important. Yes, I'm gonna go over the stochastic right now. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about, again, indicators. So one of the things that I wanna help you guys understand is these different indicators. Now, I already did a YouTube video on Bollinger Bands, so you can go and watch that, okay? When I started using this and learning about this, one of the things that I was uncomfortable with was that I wasn't comfortable just getting into a trade because it's overbought and oversold. I really wanted to understand, what are these indicators? What are they doing for me? Why are they important? And why am I using it? So I think I did a video on RSI as well too, but really quickly, your RSI can be used for multiple things. Number 1, it measures the speed of change in price movements. And you'll notice that it's measured on a scale of 0 to 100. Now we keep our RSI settings on 80 and 20. And what you'll notice is that with Daven's 4 rules, when he first created this strategy, his settings were on 70 and 30. Sharif's strategy uses the settings of 80 and 20. And I like it because most people are getting into the market when the RSI, for example, is right around 30, okay? And when you're getting in down here where it's extremely oversold, you're getting into the party early, basically. And so by the time the other people are entering, the other bulls are entering, then you're pretty much taking profit already, especially when you're scalping. So with the RSI, you basically can also pick out potential tops and bottoms in the market. So for example, this is a top here. This would be a bottom here, okay? And so with these areas, you can also start, if you're doing trend trading, you can also look at possible uptrends in the market. So if you click on format, you can always change these indicators, their levels and things like that. I use 7 and close on the RSI. If you click on style, for example, this is where you would change your 70 and 30 to an 80 and 20. That's where you can do that. You can also add another level, like on my cell phone, I have a level of 50 that most of you have seen. So when I do a little trend trading, if you are looking at a possible uptrend, you want to make sure the RSI is above 50. If you're looking at a downtrend, you want to make sure the RSI is below 50. So that would be right below the 60 somewhere. So that's just a little nugget, but that doesn't really, it's not really relevant to the 4 rules. I just want you to know that, okay? Now let's talk a little bit about stochastic, because a lot of people don't know this. So for example, the stochastic, if you click on format, and you'll see you have a K percentage line and a D percentage line. The K line is your main signal line, okay? And then the signal line, which is really a moving average of the K line, is your D percentage line. Now, the main line, which is the K line, you'll see mine's is blue here, all right? It has a standard default of 14. And what I mean by that is normally you're going to see a default setting of 14, 3, and 3. We changed it to 5, 3, and 3 because it speeds up the stochastic a bit, all right? So the stochastic tells us where a security's price closed relative to its highs over a designated period of time. So it's really telling us the performance of price action in the market and basically what it's doing. And what it does is it helps you to see where prices is weakening. So for example, we look at overbought and oversold conditions. Well, in a buy, for example, it's going to alert you when it's telling you, basically it's helping you identify pullbacks as well. So you've probably heard sometime that like when you see a particular pair that's called and it's not ready yet, you probably heard that. What we mean by that, for example, is that if let's say your K percentage line, which is the blue line, is not crossing over your D line, they're very far away from each other, then that could be a signal to you that it's warning you of a possible pullback. So that's what that means, okay? So for example, if they told us the sell signal would warn us of that. And what it means is that it could mean the bull's party is over for a while. So for example, if it alerts us somewhere up here, and let's say, well, I don't want to give that example. Let's just say, for example, a downtrend develops, or no, let's say, so let's say the sale happened here, right? So we have a sale going on here, price close. So price is getting weaker, bears are leaving the market. What's happening is that when these two signal lines come together, it's basically saying that the bulls are sneaking in. They're starting to nibble on the price a little bit. And then the bullish nibbling, it causes closing prices to edge up. So what happens is that the K percentage line comes from under the D line very slowly and it crosses to the upside. You see that? See how the blue line crossed up to the upside? And it issues a buy signal. That's what that means. And at that point, that's when you know that it's ready, that the bulls are entering the market. It's time to go long, and we now can enter that trade, all right? So when this trade was called, basically, you have where price closed outside of the Bollinger Band, your RSI dropped below 20, and then your K line came down and crossed over your D line, all right? And then you have your MACD that crossed as well. So we had all confirmation on the 5-minute chart. So that's what you want to look for. As soon as you confirm the 5-minute chart, you're going to quickly go to the 15-minute chart and you're going to look for the same setup. Now, for example, when this trade was called, you can see how small this candle was, the green candle, right? So that's barely, let's see, it was called right around 3303. And it didn't even go 1 pip, okay? So what happened was that when you would have gone to the 15-minute chart, you would have saw that the RSI it did hit 20 and it was crossed up, so it was ready. However, the stochastic was still far apart. There was still space right here. It wasn't crossing over, and the MACD was not crossed over as well. So that tells you it's not ready yet. Now, some people say, well, I could have entered on the 5-minute chart and, because the 5-minute chart made its move. Well, you don't want to do that. The 15-minute chart is where the magic happens. So you want to wait, just like you see here on the 5-minute chart, where you have all these confirmations here. These are the same confirmations you want on the 15-minute chart. And the reason being is because look what happened. We had a little bit of, price started going long again, but then there was pullback up in here, okay? But what happened? Price went ahead and descended, and then by the time we were on the 15-minute chart, it was then ready for you to enter. So it came down to about, you would have been in the trade longer, you would have had some pullback, but if you would have waited for the same setup on the 15-minute chart, as soon as you have these confirmations on the 15-minute chart, and your stochastic and MACD start to meet and cross, that's when you want to enter the trade. So you would have gained about 7 pips here. because it came to about 1.33017, and it went up to, as you can see, 1.33086. All right. So you would have got about 7 pips. So that's why we do a 3 to 5 pip take profit with this strategy. If you want to, you know, I pretty much have, my win rate with this strategy is really, really high. I really never lose with this strategy, but I'm going to tell you what I've encountered lately. But most of all, I really like this strategy. If you want to win all day long, you can get almost pretty much a guaranteed 3 pips. I know we can't guarantee anything, but from experience, I'm telling you that you pretty much can. And one of the things that you want to do, I want to show you something really quickly. Can someone type in the chat for me? Do you see my trading journal here on the screen? Can you see a trading journal, or do you still see the web analyzer? Just type yes if you see the trading journal. Okay, awesome, thanks. So this is what you want to do. When you take a trade, so let's say if we were entering in USD CAD like we just saw, you are going to use this journal and you are going to work in your demo. If you really want to perfect this strategy and get wins all day long, trust me, this is what you want to do. You want to put the date on here, the time you entered the trade, the currency pair, put whether if it was a buy or a sell, what was your lot size, how many trades did you place? Did you place 1 trade or 2 trades? How many pips did you gain? How long were you in the trade? What strategy did you use? Was it the 4 rules? Put the 4 rules. What trends did you notice? When I say trends, for example, did you notice that the 15-minute chart is most important, that when the stochastic crosses, that's when your momentum starts? Or did you notice something about the Bollinger Bands? Did you notice that Bollinger Band did not hit and you lost out on that trade, whatever? In the comments section over to the right is where you want to jot down everything that you're experiencing in that trade. So for example, if I go back here and let's say you got in, let's say you were on the 5-minute chart and you saw all the confirmations and you got excited and you hopped in, you're going to put entered on the 5-minute chart, however, was in the trade, for 20 minutes because the 15-minute chart wasn't ready. You want to put your observations on here is what I'm saying, because what you're going to notice is that the more you journal these trades and you note your observations, that's going to help you point out the weak areas with this strategy, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, where your mistakes are, and it's going to help you better your entry. Your entry is the most important, okay? And that's usually what's hard for most people to nail down. So those are the confirmations. Now, the only other thing I want to show you is that you understand your entry and where to get in and how to get in, okay? So when you look at the 5 and the 15-minute and you confirm that everything is there, so we went through the rules. So let me just, I'll go through the rules again on the document, but all your confirmations are there. You quickly want to go to the 1 hour and the 4-hour chart. Now, as you experience this more and more, you will feel comfortable just quickly going to these sections really quick. And you don't have to worry because price action is not going to move like so fast where you miss out. It shouldn't anyway, hopefully. But you want to quickly scan the 1 hour and the 4-hour chart because you want to see, is there a trend? All right. So the number one problem that most traders have who are using this strategy is the entry. And some people say, well, I got in and price reversed and went against me. Well, possibly because you were trading against the trend. So for example, let's say if they called a sell and we clearly see that this is a strong buy, price is going long. You wouldn't want to go against the trend, or if you do, you want to be very, very careful. But if I see a strong trending market and they want me to go against the trend, because normally the calls that WA calls is against the trend, I won't enter. I will not, because you will get stuck in that trade and you'll see what happens. But you basically want to make sure that it's not a very strong trending market. And if it is, you want to go with the trend, not against the trend, okay? So that's just an observation there. Go ahead and type any questions that you have inside of the chat. Let me know if this is making sense to you. The only other thing that I want to point out to you really quickly is entering the market. So you have 2 ways that you can enter the market. Most people will do a buy market or a sell market execution. Many of you know what that is by now. You can enter by buy market or sell market execution on your computer or either on your phone. What that does is gets you into the market right away, immediately, okay? But what happens when you enter by market execution is you lose about 2 to 3 pips. So normally what I do is once I get my confirmations on the 5-minute chart, I say, okay, awesome. 5-minute chart is lined up. Now let's go to the 15-minute chart, and I'll wait for my confirmations to line up on the 15-minute chart. Once my candle starts to form, if they call a buy, once my blue candle starts to form and my stochastic has crossed, my MACD has crossed, my RSI comes down and points up. You want everything pointing up for a buy, okay? Again, if your stochastic is far apart from each other, your MACD is far apart, you're gonna have pullback. You're gonna have a lot of pullback, and I don't know how much pullback, but if the trade starts to go against you and price starts to descend, and then you're gonna be stuck in that trade for a while, and possibly it could go against you and hit your stop loss, okay? So normally what I do is I say, well, it's not ready yet, but I do a pending order. So if the trade was called right around here, I usually will do my pending order for a buy limit, and I will do it right where the trade was called. And as you can see, price reversed back to where it was called, and then it went long. So if you would have put a pending order for right around 3301, it would have got you into the trade right then and there. You could have did a 3 to 5 pip take profit, and you would have been all good. All right. Now, sometimes if you're trading during a volatile session, that might be a little hard to do, and you might just want to get in by buy market or sell market execution. But I normally enter through a pending order because it allows me to not lose any pips. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. Let me check and see what questions you have. The spread is the same though, right? You mean between, well, it depends on what so the spread between, well, you have to remember when you're looking at the analyzer and your MT4, because I trade from my phone, so it's about a 2 pip difference. So you just want to keep that in mind. I don't know if that's kind of what you're referring to, but that's something that you'll notice. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the spread is the same. Yes, doing a market execution or a limit. Yes. But if you do a limit, it can help you hit that take profit much faster. My gold lines here, my horizontal lines, these were just lines that I was pointing out for you. So my blue line this is just an example to help you guys understand what you're looking for when you're entering the market using the 4 rule strategy. So my blue line is where the trade was called. It was right in here. And then I basically marked these yellow lines because I wanted you to see here, this is where you could have taken profit. So you can see where, I'll just make this a little bit bigger. You can see price closed right here. So you would have got about a good 7.5 pips or so. And then here, for the RSI, this is actually where the RSI was. It was right about at 30 when they called it. And then down here, this was where the stochastic was. So I just wanted to point out these areas for you so that you kind of know what to look for, but it's more so just pointing that out for you. All right. So let's go ahead. I'm going to click on EuroCAD. And if you guys have your demo ready, I want to help you get into a live trade. Now, keep in mind, we're in the Australia session, Tokyo session right now. I don't trade this strategy during this session. I just find it's a bit slow. And you really want to use this strategy with, I'd say, the London or the New York session because there's more volatility, which is great for scalpers. So if you're scalping the market and you're just in for quick pips, you're going to hit your take profits faster. But look how small these candles are. Okay, you don't want to be in the market during consolidation like that where there's not a lot of nothing going on, because even if the 4 rules are there, you're going to be in this trade for a while, and you don't want that. If your goal is 100 pips a day, can I do this with Daven's 4 rules? Yeah, absolutely. How many pairs do you think it would take to do that? It depends on how many pairs? Well, honestly, everyone's different. You can trade multiple pairs if you want. I really like trading about 2 pairs. I like focusing on 1 or 2 pairs because I just find that I'm able to profit more when I really study a pair and get to know that pair. So normally traders start to embrace the pairs that they like and what they don't like when they journal trades and they find, you know, there are some pairs that they like and they really don't like. I like GBP USD and I like Euro USD and I like USD JPY. So I trade those pretty often, and I do take signal alerts from some of the IML TV educators, and I do like that because what I do sometimes, you know, honestly, so here, I want to be honest with you guys and kind of tell you some challenges I've had recently with the analyzer. I wake up at about 4:15 every morning to trade the analyzer, and sometimes the alerts are kind of slow. Usually by the time my morning is starting, I have to kind of help out my husband in the morning and my kids, you know, my daughter is out of school. So my morning gets busy. And if I don't get the proper amount of alerts in time, I find that it's harder for me to meet my income goal. So if you work a full-time job, that's something you will have to consider. I recommend waking up in the middle of the night, trading the London session for a little bit, or you might want to consider a different strategy, because that has been my current challenge, where I haven't always had that challenge, but I've had to switch up my strategy a little bit because I'm not getting the most of my trading session due to my schedule. So the strategy that you use, it's going to depend on your personality and also your schedule. The web analyzer is a great tool. If you use it during a high volatility session, then I think you can get the most from it. But for me, I'm having to implement other things. Like I started implementing moving averages, which I really, really like, and I've incorporated it with the 4 rules. That's a whole nother training, but I like it because also too, I just found that, you know, if I'm getting up so early and if I'm trading and I'm only getting, let's say, a few pairs, a few setups, and I still haven't met my goal, well, when I do finally get that setup, I don't really want to go for 3 to 5 pips. So Daven recently updated his strategy where now he's getting about 10 pips, and he added moving averages, which is interesting, to the RSI. You can go on his IML TV session and learn more about that. I do it a little bit different, actually a lot different, and it's a lot more simple. And so I'm just getting very strong with it and plan on sharing it as well. But I mentioned that to say that if you have that challenge as well too, just know that I've experienced it as well, and those are things you might want to consider, okay? So other than that, the 4 rules is so simple, guys. You can pretty much get guaranteed wins with it if you just practice, practice, practice.